Hey, how's everyone doing? Today it's a little strange today. Yeah, it's a little strange today. Um, Something is just you know. So first up, I just like to thank you all for joining me here, and it's been a great experience, and I just want to thank all of you for being here with me and being on the show itself. Once again, this is the Melvin Live Show. And in case you didn't know, in case you're wondering what's going on, this is the show where I talked about building a one person, 1 million old digital business. And the main premise for that actually is that I wanted to be able to use this as a platform to really reach out to people who would want to exper- experience the whole idea of building a one-person business. Now, it's I would say it's freaking difficult, right? Let's just put it mildly, and that's just to put it mildly. It is freaking difficult. Now, many a times you will wake up and you wonder if whatever you're doing it's going to work, and quite often sometimes it doesn't seem like it's going to work, and that's where you really need to think about what else you can do to ensure that whatever you're working on it's able to give you the kind of results that you want. And I would say the for the most part is that when you are really looking at having a group of people to support you to be able to work with you and to kind of give you that encouragement that you really need. That I think this whole community is something that you can really look forward to, right? And so this is the show, and as of now, right now, what I'm doing is I am really going deep into the aspect of um, you know making sure that you get a sense of what it is and what is possible for you. So let's go back to the start here and let's look at what exactly we're talking about here. So, the whole premise is that you want to build a one person business. Now, how are you going to do that? One way to do that, of course, is that you want to use live stream. And I would say, in today's context itself, using live stream is really, really important because if you know how to master the art of using live stream, then you would be better positioned than your competitors to be able to reach out to the market that is ready and accepting live stream as the mainstream. And so, the thing that I really encourage you to do is to focus a lot on, how you can do live stream and what are some of the mechanics behind it. And that's what we're going to be talking about here today. In case you haven't already, there is a to Z guide that I have been preparing, and I am most gladly willing to share with you. And what you all you need to do is essentially to head on down to livestream.rocks, and once you're there, you can sign up. It's just a landing page. You can sign up, and you will be able to get access to all 26 chapters of the A to Z guide. Now, what you're going to expect and what you can expect is that you will be every day a chapter will be emailed to you straight into your inbox itself. So that is the whole idea behind that. Now, once you get the each email, you will get a sense of what to do for each of the chapters itself. So, for example, chapter one, it's about audience, right? So you want to focus on who's your audience and how are you able to define who those audience are, what is it that they're looking for, and also, where you can find them. So that it's the first part of the whole chapter itself. And then of course towards the end of the chapter, if you like, there is a segment that says go deep, and this is where you would be able to go deep and find out for yourself if there is a worksheet there that you can work out, and that is something that you can do. And so with that worksheet itself, you really would then be able to get a better sense of how you could work towards your end goal, and in that case will be on audience. And of course, you will have access to on the second chapter. It's on the business objectives. So how do you define your business objective, and how does that align to your live stream itself? Right. So especially in 2021, what you really want to focus on is that if you're going to be doing something and you want to do it well, you want to be able to do it in such a way that it's aligned to your business objective, right? Because here we're not talking about creating you or making you into an influencer. What we're talking about here is that we want to be able to help you leverage live stream so that it can meet your business objective, so that you are able to reach the audience that you want, and you are able to achieve your business objective. That's the whole premise behind it. And of course, once again, you will then be invited to download a worksheet whereby you can go deeper into understanding what exactly do you want to do with the with the part about the business objective itself, right? And so that it's the call to action. Go on down livestream.rots. It costs you nothing. All you need to do is just to download that, put in your email, and you will get the chapters delivered in your inbox daily, right? So that it's the promise that I have for you. Now, let's come back to today's topic. Now, today's topic, it's about statistics and live streaming. What exactly do they have in common? Well, it turns out pretty much, um, if you think about live streaming and you think about statistics itself, there are quite a number of things in common. So, number one is, when we think about statistics, and if you recall back in school, when you think about statistics, there is always what we call a population and then a sample size. And based on a sample size, you would then want to test certain hypotheses. And if the based on the some sampling that you do, and you are able to conclusively say that the outcome is positive, or the outcome validate that hypothesis that you have, then it is then deemed that the sample is a good representation of the entire population, right? So, for example, you know, if you have an entire population, right, of people, and what you want to do is you want to test whether this group of people demonstrate a particular behavior. Now, it is of course going to be extremely costly for you to test everybody and to survey everybody, because A is just going to be too much an effort, and B is just going to cost way too much, and C, it's probably not possible to interview and to survey everyone within a certain time frame itself. It's probably going to take you a long, long time. So what you do in statistics is that instead of surveying the entire population, what you do is you use a sample population, right? A sampling of the group of people that arguably is representative of the population. So, for example, let's just, for discussion's sake here, let's just say that in this country, you have three types of people, right? You have the Malays, you have the Chinese, you have the Indians, just like in Singapore, right? And once again, I have to qualify that this is just an example. And so, with that mix of different races in this population itself, you would then say, well, the population of the Malay, let's say, is 30%, the population of Chinese is 40%, and the population of Indian is 30%, for example. And so once you have that figures, what you want to do is that you want to then sample a group of people who is representative of the entire population. So in your sampling, let's say you take a certain percentage of people and you survey them. Now this group of people have to be representative of the entire population. Now, is that going to be entirely possible? Of course, there are going to be limitations. So, one aspect of it really is that, if that population size or that sample size that you have identified, is it representative? Is it significant? Is it statistically significant of the entire population itself, right? So that is something that you have to take into account. Now, the next thing, of course, is that once you do some tests, right, you have some hypothesis and you want to do some tests. And based on the data that you get from those survey, you would then be able to determine whether the hypothesis is valid or not. So let's put it in the context of live stream. What exactly does it look like, and how is it aligned to statistics? So number one, very very important is that you have a message, right? You have a message, and your message arguably is going to solve a particular problem. So the hypothesis here is that your message and your solution is able to solve a particular problem. Now, you may have demonstrated that your solution has solved the problem for a small group of people, right? However, this group of people may or may not be representative of the entire population of people out there. And so, what you really want to do now is that as you are doing your live stream, there are a few things that you want to take note. Number one is that do not get carried away with vanity matrix. For example, number of views. Like I always say, 1 million views, it's neat, it's cool, it is awesome. However, the million views will mean nothing if it doesn't convert to any monetary value. right? So that million views is not going to be, it's going to amount to nothing if you are not able to monetize that. And so when it comes down to looking at views itself, you want to take a look and say that yes, views are good, but what are the other, statistics, and what are the other metrics, the measurements that you can use to determine if your live stream is working? So first and foremost, you have to state what is your hypothesis, right? So my hypothesis, for example, is that live stream is going to be the mainstream, right? Live stream is going to be mainstream in 2021. Arguably, you're going to see more people doing live stream. And what's going to happen is that when more people do live stream, if you are not able, or you are further behind compared to your competitors when it comes to the ability to do live stream, then what's going to happen is that you're going to be at a competitive disadvantage. So my hypothesis is that everyone, or many people, means it's going to be mainstream. Live stream is going to be mainstream. And what you must do is that you must learn the skill set and have the tool set to be able to deliver a live stream effectively, professionally, and confidently. So that is my hypothesis. Now, what I need to do right now is, as I am, broadcasting this, what I'm doing is I am actually looking at not the number of views, but the number of people who actually interact and engage with this piece of content. Now, why is that important? Because it is important because it is only through this manner then I'm able to validate, or to collect the data to help me validate whether my assumption is true, right? Whether my hypothesis is valid. Now, if I am able to collect sufficient data to validate my hypothesis, well and good, right? But what happens is when you get carried away and you are using the wrong metrics, then what's going to happen is that you are going to get a ton of view, you're going to get lots of engagement, but then it's going to amount to nothing. So there are two ways to look at this. One is that the reason why you are getting all these views, but you are not able to monetize that, it's probably because you have reached the wrong audience. The people who are watching your content are not the people who are going to buy your services. And so if that is going to be the case, then what you really need to pay attention to is that how do I either change my content so that I could reach the correct audience, or how can I change my content in such a way that the very people who wants to work with me would actually see it. So that it's one aspect of it that you will have to pay attention to. Now, the other aspect that you really have to pay attention to would be the following. If you are doing your live stream, then what you want to do is you want to find a way to be able to get people to take certain action. Because as long as they're able to take action and they're able to make progress, this is where you have the ability to help them attain a certain level of wins. And once you're able to help them attain a certain level of wins, that's where you win. So as long as you can help other people win, that's when you can win too. Right? And so very clearly is that if I were to lay out the steps for you, the first step that you want to do is You want to be able to identify what exactly it's the level of desire about a certain thing. Assuming you want to live stream about a particular topic, then what you would really want to do is first thing first, you want to be able to determine if that particular topic that you are going to be talking about, it's something that people are looking at. It's it something that people are, paying attention to, right? Is this something that is the beginning of a trend, or is this something that it's, ahead of its time, or is this something that it's already mainstream and you're playing catching up, right? Now, where it is, of course, it will require a different set of strategy. But first, you have to be able to identify that. Now, once you're able to identify that topic, and you are able to determine that it's aligned to the current want of people, and assuming that you are able to determine that the want of these people runs into not just the hundreds, but it's running into the tens of thousands, or perhaps even to the hundreds of thousands, or in an ideal situation, running into millions. So, coming back to my example, the topic that I want to talk about, it's using live stream to build your business, right? Using live stream to build your business. That is the topic. Now, once I've determined that that is the topic, the next thing that I really need to do is to determine if this topic is something that right now people are looking for, right? So is this a topic that right now people are looking for, right? So is there a demand in terms of wanting to wanting to do live stream? Is there a demand from people wanting to learn how to live stream? Is there a demand for businesses wanting to use live stream to better their conversion rate, or to be able to bring their business to the customer? Is there sufficient demand? Now, take note that at this point in time, what you are doing is you're validating if demand is there. Now, if the demand is there, well and good, right? But if the demand is not there, which means statistically, you're not able to find sufficient people looking for this topic or talking about this topic, then, you know, there it's basically two options for you. Option A is that you can decide that, well, there is some semblance of people talking about it. So perhaps it's the beginning of the trend. And so your decision could be, let's invest time, money, and resources into creating content and educating this group of people, right? Now, if you think about that, that education bit could take a month, could take 6 months, could take a year, or could take many years. So just be careful there, because if you're way ahead of the curve, right, you're way ahead of time, unless you have, this is a separate thing for you, right? This is not something that you have to depend your life on. Then, well, when good, but if that is going to be the main source of income, the main source of business for you, then definitely you would have to take option B. And option B means you have to abandon that project, no matter how much you are in love with it. So that would be option B. Now, once you have determined that, okay, this is my topic and there are sufficient people looking for this topic and they are interested in this topic itself, what you need to do next is essentially then you are able to start creating your content to address the needs of these people, right? You want to start creating content to address the needs of these people. So it could be, you found that people are starting to look at live stream, and that is something that many people are finding that it is difficult to do, and they do not know where to start and how to start and all that good stuff, right? So that may be something that you would have to pay attention to, and that may be a piece of content that you could create. Now, once you create a content, because you have already validated that there are people searching for this piece of information, when you create a content, that is when it's the proof of the pudding whether if that content is going to stick with the very people that you have intended to reach. And if you are able to make that connection, in other words, you're able to make the content and put it out in front of the very people that you want to reach, then well and good, right? Then you're on the right track. The problem, I think, for many of us is that we found that there is this group of people, but for some reason, we are not getting to them. So, what do we do? Well, that will be a topic for another day. But for today, what I want you to really, really figure out is that the topic that you want to talk about, is there statistically, is there enough people looking for that topic? Is there enough people interested in that topic? Is there enough people hungry and willing to learn about that topic? So you have to determine that. Now, where are you going to go to determine that? Well, there are three suggestions that you can think of. Two of them are paid, two of them are free, and one of them is paid. So the first tool that you can go to is essentially Google Trends, right? You can go into Google Trends and type in the keyword of your topic and see, it's is it on an upward trend, or is it tapering down, or where is it at, right? Or perhaps there's no trend at all, right? So Google Trend is one place that you could go to. Now, the second place that you can go to that is free is a tool by Neil Patel called Uber Suggest. Now, Uber Suggest is like, Google Keyword Planner, except that it's a lot more user friendly, and it's able to give you rich data for free, right? So Uber Suggest is another thing that you can consider. Now, the third tool is a paid tool, and that's the tool that I use whenever I need to do the kind of SEO work for my clients. And that tool that I use is called SEM Brush. Now, SEM Brush is a great tool. It allows you to dive deep into keywords, related keywords, competitors' keywords, and all that good stuff. And it is a great, great tool for you to be able to dive deep. However, if you would ask me, for someone who is starting out and someone who is not familiar with SEO, SEMrush would be an overkill. It's like if you want to learn how to drive, the first car that you jump into is a Ferrari. Well, it's going to be, too much for you to handle. So what you may want to do first is really to go first into Google Trend and take a look at the keywords that you have. Is that on a upper trend? Is that on a tail end of the trend? Or is it just a fad? Right. So for example, if you were to type in fidget spinner, you will see that it's a fad because it kind of rise to its peak for a short period of time, and then afterwards zero at all, right? None at all. So that is one example. So start off with Google Trends and see what you get, right? And then the next part is that you then go into Uber Suggest. And this is where you want to dive deep and see, are the numbers big enough, right? And so are there sufficient people if you have like at least, 100 or 1,000 people searching for that keyword every single month, then at least you know that there is a high possibility for you to be able to leverage that particular topic and to be able to go deep and perhaps even to monetize that, right? And once you have determined that that is good, then perhaps when you want to do a bit more in depth research, this is where you can use a tool like SEMrush to find out what are some of the long tail keywords that you could be looking at. And so those will be the tools. So, in summary, why is live streaming like statistics? What do they have in common? Well, in statistics, we talk about a population, we talk about a sample, we talk about whether it's statistically significant, the result that we have, whether it's statistically significant, right? Likewise, on live stream, you have a population of people who perhaps want to find out more about your topic. Are you able to determine that there is that population in the first place? Now, once you're able to determine that there is the population in the first place, then what you want to do is you want to reach out to a smaller group of people to be able to determine if they would actually pay for the solution, right? And in subsequent episodes, I will talk a bit more in terms of how you could test that, right? And how you could test that and to see if that is something that people would pay. Now, of course, then once you have done that, the next part is that you want to use tools like Google Trends, Uber Suggest, and SEMrush as a way to determine if are you on the right track and do you have the data. And so I hope that this has been helpful to you, especially for those of you who are thinking of starting afresh in terms of live stream. You're not quite sure in terms of what topic to talk about, and you want some guidance, some signposts to let you know whether should you pursue this area or should you not pursue this area. This video is for you, right? And so if you found it to be useful, make sure you hit the thumbs up button or like it, because that is the way to help other people discover this video, right? And more people discovering this video would mean that more people would be able to benefit from what we know, right? And secondly, if this is something that you are interested in, right, in terms of leveraging live stream, leveraging new media to be able to create this 1% 1 million all digital business, if this is what you are interested in, then can I invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel? And where you can go, it's melvin.tv, right? Melvin.tv, and this is where you would be able to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, finally, if you want the A to Z guide on live streaming, then definitely check out livestream.rocks. And this is where you will be able to get your hands on the A to Z guide, right? So one chapter a day to help you work towards your goal of becoming a live stream rock star. And so if you got a question, as always, make sure you leave it in the comments. I read every single comments and I will reply to them. And if need be, I would even make a separate video just to answer the question itself. Right? And if you want to, you know, get a little bit of consultation with me, then hit me up on email and let me know what you're thinking and what are your plans, and we can have a chat and to determine if live stream is something worth your while in pursuing. Right? And with that, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.